Okay, so hello everyone. My name is Muhamad Ihsan and I am from class 5A from English Education. And today I have been assigned to answer some questions regarding qualitative methodology, specifically on interview and reflexive thematic analysis. So let's get right into it. And full disclosure, I have already a script in front of me, but I try my best to not dependent on it and try to make my own answer for most of the time. Okay. So for the first question is, uh, what do you find most valuable about Brown and Clark's reflexive thematic analysis? So I think my most valuable find on Brown and Clark thematic analysis is that the step that they give in their article is very clear and concise and easy to understand, especially for me who before this didn't know about this method uh, beforehand. So when reading the article, well, actually reading the summary of the article, it makes me feel like it is easy to understand, and it makes the method feels easy gitu. Another thing is that um, through this article, I found that they are the method uh, itself is very flexible according to their own words because thematic analysis doesn't rely on one specific framework, so it is less constrained and it is um, more free, if that makes sense. Okay, so the second question: what is one insight you gain from Kavale about the nature of interviewing? Okay, so about this, Cavalli really goes into philosophical, the philosophy of interviewing and its nature. He is really going deep dive into the topic. And from what I have read so far, one insight that I gain is that interview or most common human interaction like talking to one another or just asking questions is the oldest form of gaining knowledge because it is the basic nature of human communicating and socializing. As such, from that experience that we gain from other people, we gain knowledge of the world from their perspective, and that is how most knowledge came from people to people interacting from one another. And I think it is really fascinating because uh, interviewing is such an old and yet still relevant method, especially in qualitative method, that it hasn't really changed since then, only just applying a few ethical, normative and ethical guidelines in order, because we now have perception that we have to understand the interviewee feelings and if we are overstepping the boundaries or not. But other than that, I it doesn't really change at all, which is really fascinating to me. So yeah, I think that is one insight that I gained by reading Cavalli's perception about interviewing. The next question is, how do you see both connecting to your own potential research project? Okay, so this is a really tough question because I haven't really thought about it far enough, so I can't give a clear answer for this, so I apologize for that. But I think from what I see is that both methods can complement each other. So basically, um, if I did a topic research on education, specifically on how curriculum affect the quality of the education. I will probably start it off with an interview because that is like the most basic step of me trying to gain some information about teacher's thoughts, specifically on senior and beginners teacher thoughts about this topic. After that, I will probably transcribe it, write it down, and then I will use thematic analysis in order to find the common theme from all of these answers, and then define that theme and define this answer into a more understandable way. After that, I will verify and validate my findings, and then I will report it. So I think that's what I see if I apply this method in my potential research project. For the last question is, what challenges do you anticipate when applying these frameworks? So these challenges mostly comes from myself because of my lack of knowledge and still lacking in some department of this qualitative approach. I anticipate that I will have a hard time applying this method because I can see the potential that I misunderstood the meaning of this method, you know. So um, I think mostly it comes from my lack of understanding, which is difficult to do to overcome it, but I will try my best. Another challenges that I anticipate when applying this framework is interviewing, especially in interviewing from from the Cavalli's perspective, from Cavalli's thoughts and statement. That's from Cavalli's statement is that you need a lot of preparation before you apply the interview. So you need to think about every single thing. It's like, is this question relevant, or is this question good enough? Is this question overstepping the boundary of the interview? Is this question personal or not? And so on and so forth. So there are a lot of ethical war going on behind the scene because in Cavalli's books, he mentioned a lot of emphasis on ethical during the interview. So ethicality is important. So, and I think I will have a hard time doing that because um, personally I just asking it straight, but since it is academic, I have to think about these things. Another challenges, and I think the last one is that in thematic analysis, I think a lot of the steps, there are a lot of steps that I need to do and I need to analyze, and also I need to follow because it is the guidelines, right? And since I didn't really know about the method a whole lot, dependence on that steps could be a challenge on itself because over dependence can lead to mostly rigid interpreting. So yeah, I think that is the challenge that I might anticipate facing in the future. Okay, so I think that's about it. Thank you very much for your attention, and I apologize for taking up your time. And also, if the answer isn't satisfying enough. Okay, thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.